All right, so today we're going to take a look at doing a linear regression on your calculator. Okay, so first thing we want to do is go ahead and type in your data into the calculator. So I'm going to go to stat, okay, and then edit. Okay, that's going to give me my list L1, L2. So just to review, if I want to go ahead and delete what's in a list, I don't put delete, I go and highlight the name of the list, hit clear, and then hit enter. Remember, if you happen to delete the list, by pushing delete on the name, it goes away. To get it back, highlight the name where you want it to be, not the inside the list, but actually on the L2 there. So I'm going to push second and delete button, which is the insert. Okay, and I want to call it L1. So L1 is right above the 1 here. So I'll push second and then 1. So I get L1 in there and hit enter. Okay, so it's back. Okay, remember, it's essential to have L1 and L2 because the default is that X values are in L1 and the Y values are in L2. Okay, so we'll go with that from now. Okay, so for right now, I'm going to go ahead and type in just a random data set. So I'll do the points 1, 2, 3, and I'll go over here and I'll type in 4, 5, 6 for my Y values. Okay, remember to make sure that you have the same number of X values as you have Y values. Otherwise, you get an error dim mismatch. Just means the dimensions don't match up. Okay, so now that I have those in, I'm going to excuse me, I'm going to ignore what's happening in list 3 and 4, and I'm just going to go to stat, go over to calc, and option number 4 is linear regression, linreg. Okay, the default is L1 is where our X values, L2 for the Y values, and those are fine. So I'm just going to leave those there. I'm going to go down to store regeq. Okay, so from store regeq, that just means where do I want to store my equation? I want to store it in Y1. That's my go-to thing, so I can do things with it. So what I'm going to do is, to get Y1 to show up, I can't just type in Y and 1 because that's going to be a stored value for Y and multiply it by 1. That's not what we want. What we want is the equation to be stored into Y1. To get that to show up, all I do is go to vars, right next to the clear button, go over to yvars, enter function, and Y1 is where we want it to be. Okay, so you got to do that every time to tell it where you want to store it. So now I'm going to go to calculate, hit enter there, and then remember, you should have the R squared and the R value. Remember, variance is the R squared value. We don't use that. R is the value that we do want. That's correlation. Remember, to get that R squared and the R value to show up, remember, the one-time way of doing that is just go to second, go to catalog, and either you can scroll down to diagnostic on, or if you push the alpha button and then X to the negative one's the D button, which for some reason you have to do twice. Let's do that there. Brings us down to the D's. I'm going to go down till I find diagnostic on. Remember, this is a one-time thing. Hit enter and it says done. Now I should have the R squared and the R value. Remember, to get it to show up again, do the linear regression without having to do all the linear regression steps again, I can just push second and enter. It brings up my last thing. I didn't want that. I wanted the one before it, so I'll do that same thing. Second, enter again. Okay, and now I'll hit enter. Okay, so I get my equation. It's an ax plus b, same thing as slope-intercept form, but just an a instead of an m there. So we have our slope and we have our y-intercept. If I go to y equals now, my equation's there, so it's good. I know I did that correctly. So to get out of this, I'm going to do second and mode. It brings us to the home screen. Okay, so now to actually do something with it, like say I want to plug in x values and find out the corresponding y values, we can do some graphing stuff. But for right now, what we're going to do is we're just going to get it. We're going to plug it in kind of like function notation, like f of 2. So if I want to check out what, say, f of 10 was going to be, all I have to do is on the home screen, I want to plug in 10 for x in my y value, or my y equation, which is in y1. So on the home screen, I'm going to go to vars, go to yvars, function, y1, okay, because that's where my equation is. And just like with function notation, I'm going to put parentheses, and I'll type in 10. So it's telling it plug in 10 for my x value into the equation in y1. Hit enter. I get 13 out. That's the corresponding y value. So the coordinate pair would be 10, 13. If I want to do that again, like I had multiple values to check, I can just push second, enter, and now I can just go back here and change my value. Say I wanted to look at 25. I have that there. Now I can hit enter. Okay. If for some reason you didn't want it to be a 2-digit number, like you wanted to find out when it was 3, and do second, enter. Okay. I can go back, highlight this, type in 3, and then I can just hit delete. And it goes there. Now I can hit enter. Okay. All right. I hope that helps. We'll cover more of this in class next time around. Please make sure you bring your calculator. This is tough stuff. Okay. Thanks.